I stood in my living room, our living room, staring at the eviction notice in my trembling hands. 24 hours. That's how long the sheriff said I had to get out of the house my husband and I had built our entire lives in. "Mom, I'm sorry," the officer had said, his eyes full of pity. "The property's been legally transferred. You need to vacate." My husband Derek stood silent in the corner, and when I turned to look at him, he wouldn't meet my eyes. That's when I knew. He'd given our house to his brother Marcus, our home, our children's home, and he hadn't said a word to me about it. My name is Zaria Thompson, and I'm 42 years old. 18 years ago, I married my high school sweetheart Derek in a beautiful ceremony at my mama's church in Atlanta. We had dreams bigger than the Georgia sky, dreams of building a family, creating a life filled with love and laughter, the kind of life I'd always imagined. And for a while, we had exactly that. I can still remember the day we bought this house. It was a modest 3-bedroom colonial in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside Atlanta, with a big backyard perfect for kids and summer barbecues. Derek carried me over the threshold, both of us laughing like teenagers, even though we were 24 and 25, young but so sure of ourselves. We christened every room with dreams. Maya's nursery would be the sunny room facing east. Jordan's would have space for all his toy trucks, and the master bedroom would be our sanctuary after long days of building our future. Those early years were pure magic. I'd wake up to the smell of Derek making pancakes on Saturday mornings, and we'd eat them in the backyard while planning where to plant the vegetable garden. Our first Thanksgiving in that house, we hosted both our families. 20 people crammed around a table meant for 8, and it was perfect. The turkey was too dry, the sweet potato casserole was too sweet, but nobody cared. We had each other, and we had our home. Maya came first, a beautiful baby girl with her daddy's eyes and my stubborn chin. 2 years later, Jordan arrived, all energy and mischief from day one. I gave up my accounting job to stay home with them. It was Derek's idea, and I'd agreed. "Let me provide for us," he'd said, holding my hand across our kitchen table. "You've worked so hard already." "Let me give you this." He'd been building his construction business, and I believed in him, believed in us. We became the house where all the kids wanted to play. I kept popsicles stocked all summer, and our pool, we'd saved for 3 years to install it, became the neighborhood gathering spot. 4th of July meant fireworks and hot dogs. Christmas meant lights covering every inch of our roof. Easter meant egg hunts that extended into our neighbors' yards. This house wasn't just walls and a roof. It was every birthday candle, every scraped knee kissed better, every report card hung on the refrigerator with pride. Derek's business grew steadily. There were tough years. Construction slows down when the economy dips, but we always managed. We were partners, or at least I thought we were. I handled the household finances, paid the mortgage religiously every month, managed the kids' school expenses and activities. Derek focused on his crews and his clients. It worked. We worked. His brother Marcus was always there, hovering on the periphery of our lives. 5 years older than Derek, Marcus had that smooth-talking way about him that some people found charismatic but always made me uneasy. He'd gone through 3 marriages, a dozen business ventures that all seemed to collapse, and more opportunities than anyone could count. Their mother, Helen, used to sigh whenever Marcus's name came up. "That boy," she'd say, shaking her head, "he's got champagne tastes on a beer budget, and he thinks the world owes him something." Helen was a wise woman. She'd worked 2 jobs to raise Derek and Marcus after their father passed when they were young. She was tough but loving, the kind of grandmother who showed up to every single one of Maya and Jordan's school events, who made the best peach cobbler in the state, who told me I was the daughter she'd always wanted. When she passed away 6 months ago after a brief illness, I grieved deeply. We all did. But grief does strange things to people. I just didn't realize how strange until it was too late. The changes started small. Marcus began visiting more frequently after Helen's funeral. He'd show up unannounced on weekends, always wanting to speak with Derek privately. They'd disappear into Derek's home office, door closed, voices low. When I'd bring them coffee or snacks, the conversation would stop abruptly, and I'd catch Marcus giving me this look, sizing me up, calculating something. "Just estate stuff," Derek would explain, kissing my forehead. "Mum's will, you know. Lots of paperwork to sort through." I understood that. Helen had been organized, but death brings bureaucracy. So I didn't push, even when the closed-door meetings became weekly, then twice weekly. Even when Derek started taking phone calls at odd hours, stepping out onto the back porch where I couldn't hear him. Even when I noticed him hiding papers whenever I walked into a room. "Honey, is everything okay?" I asked one evening in August. We were cleaning up after dinner, and he'd been distant all week. "Fine, baby." Just stressed about work, but he wouldn't look at me when he said it. The mail became another red flag. Derek started intercepting it before I could, rushing to the mailbox the moment the truck came by. Legal-sized envelopes with return addresses from law firms, title companies, places that didn't make sense for his construction business. When I asked about them, he'd wave me off. Just business stuff, boring contractor things. But I knew construction paperwork, and this wasn't that. Marcus's behavior shifted too. He started talking about family taking care of family constantly, making pointed comments about how blood was thicker than water, how brothers needed to stick together. At a Labor Day barbecue at our house, he made a toast that sent chills down my spine. "To family," he said, raising his beer bottle, his eyes fixed on Derek, "and to brothers who know how to honor their obligations. Some things are more important than—" He paused, glancing at me. Than anything else. Maya, 16 and perceptive beyond her years, pulled me aside later. "Mum, Uncle Marcus is weird. Why does he keep looking at Dad like that?" "Like what, honey?" "Like Dad owes him something," out of the mouths of teenagers. I laughed it off, but her words stuck with me. September brought more tension. Derek became snappish, defensive about everything. When I suggested we plan our annual fall-weekend trip to the mountains, he said we couldn't afford it. This from the man whose business had just completed 3 major commercial projects. When I questioned the money situation, he exploded. "Can you just trust me, Zaria? For once, can you not question every single thing I do?" I stepped back, shocked. In 18 years of marriage, Derek had never raised his voice at me like that. Never. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I didn't mean to upset you." He deflated immediately, pulling me into his arms. "No, I'm sorry." "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm just under a lot of pressure right now. Things are complicated." "Then talk to me." We're supposed to be a team, but he just held me tighter and said nothing. Jordan noticed the tension too. My 14-year-old son started acting out at school, getting into arguments with teachers, his grades slipping. When I met with his counselor, she asked if there were problems at home. "Your parents aren't separating, are they?" Jordan asked me one night, his voice small and scared as I tucked him in. Something he'd claimed he was too old for months ago, but now requested every night. "No, baby." "Why would you think that?" "Dad's always mad, and Uncle Marcus is always here, and you look sad all the time now, Mom. You think we don't notice, but we do." I kissed his forehead, fighting back tears. "Everything's going to be fine, sweetheart. I promise." But I was making promises I didn't know if I could keep. In late September, I found documents. I wasn't snooping. At least I told myself I wasn't. Derek had left his office door open, papers scattered across his desk. I was just going to tidy up, organize things the way I always did. But then I saw our address printed on official-looking forms. Property transfer paperwork, quitclaim deed documents. My hands shook as I read. The language was dense, legal jargon I didn't fully understand, but certain phrases jumped out at me. transfer of ownership, grantor and grantee. And most chilling of all, Derek's signature at the bottom, dated 3 weeks earlier. I took photos with my phone, my heart hammering. Then I carefully put everything back exactly as I'd found it. That night, I confronted him. The kids were asleep, and I'd poured us both wine, trying to keep things calm and rational. Derek, I need you to be honest with me. Are we in financial trouble? What? Number. Why would you ask that? I found paperwork in your office. Property transfer documents. Our address was on them. His face went pale, then red. You went through my office? The door was open. I wasn't snooping. Those are confidential business documents, Zaria. You had no right. Business documents with our home address. Our house isn't part of your business, Derek. So I'm asking you again, what's going on? He stood up, pacing, running his hands through his hair. Finally, he turned to me. It's complicated. It's about Mum's estate. Marcus and I are working through some things with the inheritance. There are requirements, legal requirements about property and assets. It's temporary, just paperwork. You don't need to worry about it. Don't need to worry. This is our house, Derek, our home, where our children sleep. How am I not supposed to worry when you're signing papers about it without even telling me? I was going to tell you. I just needed to figure out all the details first. You know how you get about financial stuff. You panic, and I didn't want to stress you out unnecessarily. The patronizing tone cut deep. How I get? I managed our entire household budget while you built your business. I've never panicked about money. We've been partners in this. And we still are. Baby, please. He knelt in front of me, taking my hands. Trust me. Have I ever let you down? Have I ever put our family at risk? This is all going to work out. There's inheritance money coming, a lot of it. But there's this legal requirement about property distribution between siblings. It's temporary. Once everything clears probate, it'll all be transferred back, and we'll be set for life. The kids' college funds, retirement, everything we've ever wanted. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. This was my husband, the father of my children, the man I'd spent half my life with. Promise me, I whispered. Promise me this is okay. I promise, Zaria. I promise you. He was lying. I know that now. But in that moment, I chose to believe him because the alternative, that he would betray our family, was unthinkable. October arrived with cooling temperatures and a false sense of calm. Marcus's visits decreased slightly. Derek seemed more relaxed. I convinced myself we'd weathered whatever storm had been brewing. Maya made the honor roll. Jordan scored the winning goal in his soccer game. We carved pumpkins on the front porch, and for a moment, everything felt normal again. Then came October 15th, a Wednesday. The day everything shattered. I was folding laundry in the living room, one of those mindless afternoon tasks, thinking about what to make for dinner. Maya would be home from her after-school job at the library in an hour. Jordan had soccer practice until 6. Derek was supposed to be at a job site across town. The knock on the door was firm, official. I opened it to find a sheriff's deputy standing on my front porch, looking uncomfortable. Ma'am, are you Zaria Thompson? Yes? I need to serve you with these documents. He handed me a manila envelope. You have 24 hours to vacate the premises. The world tilted. I'm sorry. What? This property has been legally transferred to new ownership. The new owner has filed for immediate possession. You have until 3 p.m. tomorrow to remove your belongings and vacate. There must be some mistake. This is my house, my husband and I. Ma'am, I'm just serving the papers. The details are all in there. I'm sorry. And I could see genuine sympathy in his eyes. If you have questions, you'll need to contact the attorney listed on the documents. He left. I stood there, envelope in my hands, trying to make sense of words that wouldn't compute. Vacate, New ownership, 24 hours. With shaking hands, I opened the envelope. The house, our house, the one we'd bought 18 years ago, the one we'd raised our children in, the one I'd painted and decorated and filled with love, was now legally owned by Marcus Thompson. I called Derek 17 times. 17. Each call went to voicemail. I texted, "Come home now, emergency." Nothing. I called his foreman, who said Derek had left the job site hours ago. I called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. "Well, hello there, Zaria. I was wondering when I'd hear from you." His voice was smooth, satisfied, like he'd been waiting for this moment. "What did you do?" My voice was shaking so hard I could barely speak. "What did you do to my house?" "Your house?" He laughed, actually laughed. "See, that's where you're confused. It's not your house anymore, it's mine. Check the deed. All legal, all proper." Derek signed it over willingly. He wouldn't. Oh, but he did. See, Derek owed me. Big time. Did he ever tell you about the down payment on that house? How you two couldn't quite scrape together enough, and I generously provided the extra $20,000? No. Well, he's had 18 years to pay me back, and instead he just kept taking and taking. Time to settle up. You can't just take our home. We have children. Should have thought about that before you spent 18 years living in a house you couldn't actually afford. Derek made his choice. He's a grown man. Now, I suggest you start packing. My girlfriend and I will be moving in tomorrow at 3:01 p.m. sharp. Don't make this ugly, Zaria. Just go. He hung up. I stood there, phone in my hand, the room spinning around me. This couldn't be happening. It couldn't be real. The front door opened. Derek walked in, and the look on his face, guilt, shame, fear, told me everything I needed to know. "You knew," I said, my voice deadly quiet. "You knew he was doing this." "Zaria, I can explain. You gave our house away. You gave our children's home to your brother without telling me." "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," he said. "Marcus said if I transferred the property, it would help with Mom's estate. There were tax implications, inheritance rules. He showed me all these documents. Documents you never showed me. Because I knew you'd overreact. I knew you wouldn't understand. Overreact." The word came out as a scream. "Our children are about to be homeless and I'm overreacting." Derek collapsed onto the couch, his head in his hands. "He played me. God, Zaria, he played me. He said it was temporary, just a legal maneuver to maximize the inheritance. He said Mom's will required property to be distributed to ensure equal inheritance, and once probate cleared, he'd transfer it back. He said we'd end up with $300,000 once everything was settled." "And you believed him?" "You believed Marcus. Marcus, who's failed at every business, every marriage, everything he's ever touched. You believed him over protecting your own family. He had paperwork, legal documents. He said Mom set it up this way on purpose, that she wanted to make sure both her sons were taken care of equally. And the down payment, Zaria, I never told you, but we didn't have enough for the down payment back then. Marcus gave us $20,000. He said Mom wanted him to help us, that it was a gift, but now he's saying it was a loan, that I've owed him for 18 years. So you paid him back with our house? I didn't know he'd do this. I thought we were family. He's my brother. I'm your wife. Maya and Jordan are your children. We're supposed to be your family first." The door opened again. Marcus walked into our home, without knocking, like he owned the place. Which, legally, I suppose he did. "Well, isn't this cozy?" he said, looking around our living room with satisfaction. "Love what you've done with the place, Zaria." "I'm definitely keeping these curtains." "Get out," I said. "Actually, I think you'll find I have every right to be here. This is my property now, but don't worry, I'm a reasonable man. I'll give you until tomorrow afternoon, just like the papers say. Though I'd start packing if I were you. 3-bedroom house, all these years of accumulation. That's a lot of stuff to move in 24 hours. Derek stood up. Marcus, please. You said this was temporary. You said once Mum's estate cleared. I said a lot of things, little brother. Turns out possession really is 9/10 of the law. And I possess the deed, legally signed by you. Quite voluntarily, I might add. No one forced you. You lied to me. You said Mum's will is in probate, could take months to finalize. And when it does, well, we'll see what it says, won't we? But this house, this beautiful house, it's mine now. Payment for 20 years of watching you live the life I should have had. The perfect wife, the perfect kids, the perfect little suburban dream. All built on money I gave you. I stepped forward, getting right in his face. That money was a gift from your mother. Helen gave us that money to help with the down payment. She told me herself. She wanted to help us start our family. Something flickered in Marcus's eyes, surprise maybe, or concern, but it vanished quickly behind that smug smile. Prove it. The bank records. Show a cash deposit from M. Thompson. Could be me, could be Mom. Who's to say? And Mom's not here to ask anymore, is she? You're disgusting, I whispered. I'm practical. And I'm done being the loser brother. This house should have been mine from the start. Now it is. Justice served. He walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Derek. I found some irregularities in the paperwork. Looks like someone might have forged a signature or two. Yours and Zaria's, to be specific. Now, I'm willing to overlook that little crime, seeing as I got what I wanted. But if you make trouble for me, if you try to fight this, I'll press charges. Fraud, forgery. That's prison time, brother. Think about that while you're packing. He left, and the silence he left behind was deafening. Did you forge my signature? I asked Derek. He wouldn't look at me. That was answer enough. How could you? How could you do this to us? I thought I was helping. Zaria, I thought. You thought wrong. You destroyed everything, Derek. Everything we built, everything we sacrificed for. For what? For your brother's approval? For money that doesn't even exist? Maya walked in then, home from work, her backpack over her shoulder. She took one look at our faces and froze. What's wrong? Why is everyone crying? How do you tell your 16-year-old daughter that her father gave away her childhood home? How do you explain that the bedroom she'd decorated herself, the window seat where she read books on rainy afternoons, the closet where we'd marked her height every birthday? How do you tell her it's all gone? We need to talk, I said, pulling her to sit beside me. All of us. Jordan came home an hour later to find his sister sobbing, his father broken, and his mother making phone calls to find us somewhere, anywhere to stay. That night, we packed what we could fit into our 2 cars and Derek's work truck. The kids' rooms first, their clothes, favorite belongings, things they couldn't bear to leave behind. Family photos came down from the walls. I wrapped Helen's china, the set she'd given me on our wedding day, in newspaper with shaking hands. Mom, what about my soccer trophies? Jordan asked, his voice small. We'll take them all, baby. Every single one. What about my bed? And the hammock Dad put up in my room? I looked at Derek. He couldn't even meet our son's eyes. We worked through the night, filling boxes, making trips to a storage unit I'd rented with money from our emergency savings. The emergency savings I'd been building for years, carefully setting aside money each month for exactly this kind of disaster. Though I'd always imagined it would be for medical bills or job loss, not for my husband's betrayal. At 2:45 p.m. the next day, we loaded the last box. The house stood empty except for the furniture. Too much to move, too little time. My grandmother's rocking chair sat in the corner of what had been Maya's nursery, then her childhood room. I'd rocked both my babies in that chair, singing them lullabies, watching them sleep. Mum, we have to go, Maya said gently, pulling me toward the door. Marcus's truck pulled into the driveway at exactly 3 p.m. He got out with a blonde woman I'd never seen before, both of them looking at our house, my house, with hungry eyes. "Right on time," Marcus called out cheerfully. "Thanks for leaving it so clean. Very considerate of you." I walked up to him one last time. "This isn't over." "Actually, Zaria, it is. But hey, no hard feelings, right? It's just business." "No," I said quietly. "It's family." "And you're going to learn the difference." We drove away, me, Derek, Maya, and Jordan, in a caravan to Helen's condo across town. It was small, cramped, but a friend of Helen's who managed the building had offered it to us temporarily. The same friend who'd been there when Helen passed, who'd helped organize the funeral. "You know," she'd said when I called in desperation, "Helen left some things with me. Papers, documents. She said if anything ever happened with Marcus, I should give them to you. I think now might be the time." That night, after settling the kids into makeshift beds and trying to comfort their tears, after watching Derek sit in shell-shocked silence, I met with Margaret, Helen's friend. She handed me a thick envelope. "Helen knew," Margaret said. "She knew what Marcus was. And she made preparations." Inside was a copy of Helen's actual will. Not the one Marcus had shown Derek, but the real one, filed legally with her attorney 6 months before her death. I read it once, then again. Then a third time, my hands shaking, tears streaming down my face. Helen hadn't left her estate to her sons. She'd left it to me and her grandchildren. Every word of that will burned into my brain as I read it by the dim light of Helen's, my, condo. The legal language was clear, precise, and devastating in its implications. To my beloved daughter-in-law, Zaria Thompson, I leave the entirety of my estate, including all monetary assets, property, and investments, to be held in trust for my grandchildren, Maya and Jordan Thompson. Zaria shall have full discretion over the management and distribution of these assets for the benefit of my grandchildren's education, welfare, and future. But it was the letter tucked inside, handwritten in Helen's elegant script, that made me break down completely. "My dearest Zaria, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I suspect Marcus has caused trouble. I know my son. I've known what he is for a long time, and it breaks my heart. I also know Derek. He's a good man, but he's weak when it comes to his brother. Marcus has manipulated him their entire lives, and I fear he'll do it again after I'm gone. That's why I'm leaving everything to you. Not because I don't love my sons, but because I love my grandchildren more, and I trust you to protect them when Derek cannot protect himself. The $20,000 for your house down payment, that was my gift to you and Derek, from my savings. I gave it to Marcus to deliver because Derek was too proud to take money directly from his mother. Marcus was supposed to tell you it was from me. If he's claiming otherwise now, he's lying. I've included the bank record showing the withdrawal from my account and the note I wrote to Marcus instructing him to give it to you as a gift. Keep these safe. There's more money than you know, Zaria. I was careful with my money all my life, invested wisely. The estate is worth approximately $480,000. Make sure my grandbabies get their education. Make sure they know their grandmother loved them more than anything. And Zaria, don't let Marcus win. He's always thought the world owed him something. Show him it doesn't. With all my love, Helen, I sat there on the floor of that tiny condo, surrounded by boxes of our displaced lives, holding proof that everything Marcus had told Derek was a lie. The inheritance was real, but it was mine. The down payment money, a gift, just as I'd remembered Helen saying. Marcus had stolen nothing because there'd been nothing to steal. He'd simply manipulated his grieving brother with lies and forgery. Margaret sat with me, her hand on my shoulder. Helen was so worried about this. She came to me 3 months before she passed, updated everything. She said, "Margaret, that girl married into a mess, but she's strong. She'll protect those babies. She was right about you, honey." Why didn't she tell Derek? Why didn't she tell me? She tried to tell Derek, but he wouldn't hear anything against Marcus. You know how he is, always hoping his brother would change, always giving him another chance. And Helen didn't want to worry you while she was still alive. She thought she had more time. But time had run out, and now here we were. I spent that night making copies of everything, storing the originals in Margaret's safe. Then I started making phone calls. First to the probate attorney listed in Helen's will, a woman named Patricia Chen, who confirmed everything. The will was filed, legal, and currently in probate. Marcus had no claim to the estate. But the house, I asked, can we get it back? That's more complicated, Patricia said. If your husband signed a quitclaim deed, that's a legal transfer of property. However, if you can prove fraud, coercion, or forgery, you may have grounds to void the transfer. You'll need a real estate attorney for that. My next call was to Sharon Mitchell, a real estate attorney Margaret recommended. By sunrise, I had an appointment scheduled for later that morning. I didn't tell Derek. Not yet. He'd spent the night on the condo's small couch, staring at the ceiling, occasionally breaking into quiet sobs. Part of me wanted to comfort him, but a larger part of me was still too angry, too hurt. He'd chosen his brother over our family, and the consequences were devastating. Maya found me in the kitchen at 6 a.m., making coffee with shaking hands. "Mom, did you sleep at all?" "A little." "How are you holding up, sweetheart?" She sat down at the tiny kitchen table, her eyes red from crying. "I keep thinking about my room. About all my friends in the neighborhood. About everything being normal just 2 days ago." She paused. "Is Dad okay?" "I heard him crying last night." "Your father made some very bad choices, Maya. He was trying to help the family, but he trusted the wrong person and didn't talk to me about it first. Now we're all paying the price. Uncle Marcus is a monster." "Yes," I agreed. "He is. But honey, I need you to listen to me. This isn't over. Grandma Helen, she left us something that's going to help us fight back, but I need you and Jordan to be strong a little longer. Can you do that?" "What did Grandma leave us?" "Justice," I said. "She left us justice." At 10 a.m., I sat in Sharon Mitchell's office, spreading out documents across her conference table. She was a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, with grey-streaked hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. She reviewed everything methodically: the quitclaim deed Derek had signed, the eviction papers, Marcus's documents, and most importantly, Helen's will and letter. "This is fraud," Sharon said finally. "Clear, provable fraud. Marcus represented himself as having authority over your mother-in-law's estate, made false claims about the will's requirements, and induced your husband to sign away property based on those lies. And if he forged your signature on any documents, that's criminal fraud." "Can we get our house back?" "We can certainly try. I'll need to examine the original deed documents to verify the forgery claim. If your signature was forged, this transfer is void. Even if it wasn't, we can argue the transfer was fraudulent and should be rescinded. But I need to be honest with you, Zaria. This could take months, maybe longer, and it won't be cheap. Helen's estate is worth nearly $500,000. When will that clear probate?" Patricia consulted her notes. "Patricia Chen is excellent, with no legitimate challenges, and Marcus has no grounds to challenge, probably 3 to 4 months. But you could request an emergency advance from the estate, given your circumstances. Judge might approve it, given that you were fraudulently evicted from your home." "Do it," I said. "File everything. Sue Marcus for fraud, file to void the property transfer, get us that advance. I want my house back, and I want him to pay for what he's done to my family." "What about your husband?" "He signed the deed willingly, even if he was deceived. He could face legal exposure." I thought about Derek, broken and sobbing on our borrowed couch. About 18 years of marriage, of partnership, of love. About the fact that he'd betrayed that love by not trusting me enough to tell me the truth. "My husband was a victim of his brother's manipulation," I said carefully, "but he also made choices that hurt our family. I'll decide about our marriage later. Right now, I want to focus on protecting my children and getting back what's ours. Sharon nodded. Then let's get to work. The next week was a blur of legal filings, meetings, and phone calls. Sharon moved fast, filing an emergency motion to void the property transfer based on fraud. Patricia petitioned the probate court for an emergency advance of $50,000 from Helen's estate to cover legal fees and temporary housing. Marcus received notice that he was being sued. He called me, furious. "You bitch! You think you can steal my inheritance?" "Your inheritance?" I laughed, a bitter sound. "Marcus, you were never getting an inheritance. Helen left everything to me and the kids. I have the will right here, filed legally, witnessed, notarized. You were never going to get a dime." Silence on the other end. Then, "That's impossible. Mom would never." "Your mother knew exactly what you are. She wrote me a letter explaining everything, including the fact that the down payment money was her gift to us, not yours. She has bank records proving it. You lied to your brother, you committed fraud, and now you're going to lose everything." "I have the deed. The house is mine. We'll see what the judge says about that. Oh, and Marcus, if you forged my signature on those documents, that's a felony. I've filed a police report. Detective Williams from the fraud division will probably want to talk to you soon." I hung up on him, my hands shaking but my resolve solid. Derek found me afterward, having heard the whole conversation. "You filed a police report?" "I did what I had to do to protect our family." "Something you should have done from the start. Zaria, I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I was blind. I trusted him when I should have trusted you." "Yes," I interrupted. "You should have. Derek, we've been married 18 years. 18 years of partnership, of building a life together. And when it mattered most, you shut me out. You made decisions about our home, our family, without including me. Because you thought I'd overreact or not understand. You treated me like a child instead of your partner." I know I did. How do I fix this?" "I don't know if you can," I said honestly. "Right now, I need to focus on getting our home back and protecting Maya and Jordan. We can talk about us later." His face crumpled, but he nodded. The court hearing came 3 weeks later. Sharon had worked miracles, fast-tracking our case by arguing emergency circumstances, a family with minor children fraudulently evicted from their home. We all sat in that courtroom, me, Derek, Sharon, and across the aisle, Marcus with his own attorney, looking smug and confident. Judge Raymond Carter presided, a stern black man in his 60s, known for his no-nonsense approach. He reviewed the case files, asked pointed questions, and listened to testimony. Sharon presented our evidence methodically. Helen's will leaving the estate to me and the grandchildren, Helen's letter explaining the down payment gift, bank records proving the money came from Helen's account, Marcus's false representations about inheritance requirements, and most damningly, a forensic document analysis showing that my signature on the quitclaim deed had been forged. Marcus's attorney tried to argue that Derek had signed willingly, that possession was established, that this was a family dispute better settled privately. But when Judge Carter asked Marcus directly about the forged signature, about his false claims regarding his mother's will, Marcus stumbled. "Your Honor, my brother and I had an agreement. An agreement based on lies about your mother's estate. I may have simplified some of the details." "Simplified?" Judge Carter's voice was sharp. "Mr. Thompson, you told your brother that his mother's will required property transfers, when, in fact, your mother left her entire estate to his wife and your niece and nephew. You claimed a gift from your mother was a loan. You forged Mrs. Zaria Thompson's signature on legal documents. These aren't simplifications, sir. They're fraud." The courtroom was silent as Judge Carter continued, his gaze fixed on Marcus with undisguised contempt. "I've been on the bench for 23 years, and I've seen a lot of family disputes. but rarely have I seen such calculated manipulation of a grieving family member. Mr. Marcus Thompson, you exploited your brother's grief, lied about his mother's final wishes, and forged documents to steal a home from 2 children. That's not just civil fraud, that's criminal conduct. Marcus's face went pale. His attorney whispered urgently in his ear. Judge Carter reviewed the papers. The evidence is overwhelming. The quitclaim deed is void due to fraud and forgery. The property at 1847 Maple Ridge Drive is hereby returned to its rightful owners, Derek and Zaria Thompson, effective immediately. I grabbed Sharon's hand, tears streaming down my face. But even as relief washed over me, doubt crept in. What if this isn't enough? What if he finds another way? I'd trusted my husband completely, and look where that had gotten us. Could I really trust the system to protect us now? Maya, sitting beside me, let out a small gasp of relief. I squeezed her hand, trying to silence my own fears. Furthermore, Judge Carter continued, I'm ordering Mr. Marcus Thompson to pay all legal fees and damages for emotional distress and displacement. The court sets damages at $75,000. Marcus shot to his feet, his composure cracking. Your Honor, I don't have that kind of money. This is insane. He's my brother. This was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Judge Carter's voice cut like ice. You forged signatures. You lied about a deceased woman's wishes. You evicted 2 children from their home. Those aren't misunderstandings. They're crimes. Sit down, Mr. Thompson. Marcus's face twisted with rage as he sank back. For just a moment, I saw something dangerous flash in his eyes when he looked at me, a promise that this wasn't over. My stomach clenched. Mrs. Thompson, Judge Carter said, I'm issuing a restraining order prohibiting Mr. Marcus Thompson from contacting you, your husband, or your children. He has 48 hours to vacate the premises. Thank you, Your Honor, I managed through my tears. One more thing. I'm referring this case to the District Attorney for Criminal Prosecution. Mr. Thompson, get a criminal defense attorney. We left victorious. In the hallway, I held Maya while she cried with relief. Derek stood apart, knowing that while we'd won the house back, our marriage was still broken. 2 days later, we returned home. The house was trashed, holes in walls, scratches on floors, cabinets ripped off. Marcus's parting gift of petty rage. But it was still our house, still home. My window seat, Maya cried, finding it broken. We'll fix everything, baby, I promised. Jordan collapsed on his bed. I'm never leaving this room again. Derek surveyed the damage. I did this. This is all my fault. Yes, I said simply. It is. How do I fix us? I looked at the man I'd loved for half my life. I don't know if you can. You didn't just risk our house. You risked our children's security. Because you couldn't stand up to your brother. Because you didn't trust me. I was afraid you'd be disappointed. I am disappointed. You were weak when it mattered most. You chose Marcus over us. Over Maya and Jordan. Over me. And I don't know how to forgive that. He sank onto the couch where we'd shared so many memories. What do you want me to do? Get counseling. Individual and marriage counseling. And I want separate bank accounts, complete financial transparency. Every decision about money or property we make together. No more secrets. Whatever you need. I need to trust you again, and right now I don't. You'll have to earn that back, day by day. And I can't promise you'll succeed. He nodded, tears streaming. I understand. The next weeks brought slow healing. We repaired the house, patched walls, refinished floors, rebuilt Maya's window seat. Each repair felt symbolic, putting our lives back together piece by piece. Derek started therapy. We began marriage counseling, painful sessions where I voiced all the hurt I'd carried, where Derek faced what his choices had cost us. Helen's estate cleared probate in December. Patricia called with the news. $487,000 would transfer to the trust for Maya and Jordan, with me as trustee. Your mother-in-law was incredibly smart with investments, Patricia said. This will cover college for both kids with plenty left over. I cried from relief and gratitude for Helen's foresight, her protection of her grandchildren from beyond the grave. Marcus faced prosecution, fraud and forgery charges resulting in a plea deal, 2 years probation, community service, and a fraud conviction. He'd never do this to anyone else again. But the day the verdict came, I got a call from an unknown number. You think you've won? Marcus's voice was bitter, stripped of charm. You think you're so smart. But you know what? I lost a house. You lost a husband's trust. Wonder which one of us really came out ahead, Zaria. The line went dead. My hands shook. He was right. In a twisted way, I'd won the legal battle, but the scars on my marriage, those might never fully heal. Had I really won? Or had we all just lost different things? Then Maya walked in, laughing about school, and I remembered what I'd been fighting for. Not just a house, my children's future, their security. That's what mattered. His girlfriend left him. He lost his apartment when he couldn't pay the judgment. Last I heard, he was living in a motel, working at a car wash. I felt no sympathy, only relief. Christmas came, and we were home. Maya hung stockings, Jordan and Derek strung lights outside. I cooked Helen's peach cobbler, and taking the first bite, I almost felt her there with us. We invited Margaret for Christmas dinner. She brought Helen's photo album. She knew, Margaret said. She told me, that girl's got steel in her spine. When Marcus makes his move, she'll know what to do. She was so proud of you. I wish she could see us now. Oh, honey, she can. And she's smiling. In January, I opened my dream business, a bookkeeping service for small businesses. Using a small portion of estate money, I started helping others the way I'd managed our finances for years. Maya designed the website. Jordan organized my home office. Derek referred clients. Within 3 months, I had more work than I could handle and hired 2 employees, women rebuilding their careers after life disruptions. As for Derek and me, we were healing, slowly. Some nights I still woke angry, remembering how close we'd come to losing everything. But other days, I watched him with our kids, saw him fighting to be better, and remembered why I'd loved him. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you, he said one February evening on the back porch. I don't want you to spend your life making it up to me. I want you to be the partner you should have been, the one who trusts me, includes me, puts our family first. I can do that. I am doing that. I know. I see it. I took his hand, the first time I'd initiated touch in months. We're not all the way back yet, but we're getting there. In March, Maya got accepted to Georgia Tech with a full scholarship. Jordan made varsity soccer as a freshman. We celebrated with a backyard barbecue, inviting everyone who'd supported us. Standing there, watching my children laugh, watching Derek smile for the first time in months, I felt something shift. We'd survived. More than that, we'd grown stronger. That night, I reread Helen's letter, her words of wisdom and trust. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for believing in me. For protecting us. The next morning, Derek made pancakes, something he hadn't done since before the crisis. Maya and Jordan stumbled in, sleepy but smiling. I have an announcement, I said. I want to do something special with part of Grandma Helen's gift. A scholarship fund, the Helen Thompson Memorial Scholarship, for kids from low-income families studying business or accounting. Grandma would love that, Jordan grinned. She really would, Derek agreed, his voice thick with emotion. We set it up that spring. The first $5,000 scholarship would be awarded in fall. It wouldn't change the world, but it would change one person's world. Exactly the legacy Helen would have wanted. As summer approached, I stood in our backyard looking at the house we'd almost lost. Windows glowed with warm light. I could hear laughter inside. Maya and Jordan arguing over TV. Derek calling that dinner was ready. This house was more than walls and a roof. It was every moment of joy and sorrow, every lesson learned, every mistake made and forgiven. Where we'd become a family, nearly lost everything, and found our way back to each other. I thought about Marcus, wanting to take all this because he felt entitled, about Derek, almost destroying us by not trusting our partnership, about myself, finding strength I didn't know I had. Helen had been right, I did have steel in my spine, and when it mattered most, I'd used it to protect my family. "Mom." "Dinner," Jordan called. I walked toward the house, toward my family, toward the life we'd fought to keep. The past year had tested us beyond imagination, but we'd survived. We'd grown. We'd learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about trust, loyalty, and protecting the people who matter most. Sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't money or property. It's the wisdom to know who deserves your trust, the courage to fight for what's right, and the strength to forgive without forgetting. That's what Helen had given me. Not just her estate, but her example. And I would spend the rest of my life honoring that gift. Some battles aren't won by those who strike first, but by those who stand last. Protecting what truly matters isn't about possession, it's about love that refuses to surrender.